Hey now, PGH Comic Expert here, going through my collection again. This video is going to be focusing on my treasury-sized books, magazines, and my graded stash. So a lot of books to cover. I'll kick this off quickly. Famous first edition of Action Comics #1. Found this at a pawn shop in Bloomfield, PA. For all of you Pittsburghers, that's a Little Italy, for $5. Can't really turn away from that one. This one here's a little beat up. It's got some breaks in the color and the silver, but this is reprinting the Detective Comics 27, the first Batman. And here we go, is reprinting Superman #1. One of my personal favorites, 2001: A Space Odyssey, the 1-volume edition. Jack Kirby's best work. Some of his best work. He did a lot of great things. And here's classic Neil Adams. This was a gift from my wife, my lovely wife, for my birthday. This is Superman vs. Muhammad Ali. Great Neil Adams cover. Another classic sci-fi, Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Treasury edition of The Empire Strikes Back. This is not the first appearance of Boba Fett, but it does reprint it, and it does look similar to it, but I will show you that here shortly. And then we've got the Star Wars complete, A New Hope in one book. Sorry for the glare. It's this book's actually in really good shape, and the light is going to be reflecting off of it. But it's interesting because, as you can see, this is #3. #1 was the first 3 books of the Marvel comics, and #2 was the second 3 books, and then I guess they decided to just release all 3 or all 6 into one issue. Alright, not really treasury size, but large enough that they don't fit in any magazine holder. This has been looking... I found this book at Wizard World. It's gonna fall. I found this one at Wizard World, Columbus. This is Warrior Magazine #1. This is the first appearance of V for Vendetta, and they say A Hero Reborn. This is actually the first modern appearance of one of my favorite characters, Miracle Man. This is definitely Alan Moore. Some of his greatest work was on Miracle Man, and before they actually released under the Eclipse label, these were actually being printed in Britain for these stories, and they were printed in giant size. So you got Miracle Man, V for Vendetta, and a few others from Alan Moore. And I've also got #2. As you can see, they actually have Miracle Man on the cover. They actually called him Marvel Man back then. And #3, again, I can't really fit these into books or holders. They don't really make them large enough because these were kind of odd sized. CGC won't even grade them. Okay, starting with the magazine stash, one of my personal favorite. I love these Conan books. Savage Sword of Conan #1. This was a Father's Day gift to me from me. Found this at Ides in Pittsburgh. Love that shop. Just can't go there all the time or else I'll go broke. Okay, continuing on with the magazines. Captain Britain #9 from the Marvel UK. That's actually the second appearance of Betsy Braddock. Captain Britain #2. That is the origin concluded and the official second appearance of Captain Britain. And the cool thing about this one is it came with the boomerang. I got this on a proxy bid auction. And here's the first official appearance of Captain Britain. I know there are a lot of activists out there that say FOOM 15 is the first appearance. That is the first preview. It's a sketch where in this instance, this is the actual first appearance. Unfortunately, the mask did not come with this one. Moving right along. Marvel Comics Super Special #1. This is the first solo appearance of Kiss, or solo story of Kiss in comics, and if you've all watched Comic Book Men, which I pretty much loathe that show these days, thanks to what it's turned into as opposed to what it was, this is printed in real Kiss blood. And if you watched the last episode, I believe it was talking to Gene Simmons about that. Because why would Kiss be original anymore? It's all about Gene. Alright. You saw this in the big form. I also have the magazine. This is Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Love this movie. And sticking with the Marvel Super Special Edition, Super Special magazines, we have the motion picture of Star Trek. This reprints the first 3 issues of this Marvel Star Trek comics. For those of you who don't know, Star Trek was printed on a lot of different publishers, but the ones from Marvel, they were the ones who exclusively used the crew from the first movie to make all their stories. I think they went about 18 to 20 issues, but yeah, they were not using or creating any new any new stories. It was the new stories with just that crew, which made it kind of weird, but cool in the same sense, because, there's a lot of stuff they did. They just kind of took it into a new angle. It's like they redirected the universe before Abrams did it with the last 2 movies. Alright, now, this is the first appearance of Boba Fett in comics. This is Marvel Super Special number 16. There is a lot of argument here saying that Boba Fett appeared in the Star Wars comics. This is not true. While he did have a comic book appearance, which I think it was Star Wars, I want to say 45 or 46, this is the actual first comic appearance of Boba Fett. And sorry for the glare. Okay, continuing on. Comic adaptation of Return of the Jedi. More Conan. This is Savage Tales number 9, or number 5, I think. This is Marvel's way of producing Conan in the format in which he was meant to be published. In addition to that, I believe this is the first cover appearance of Khazar on this title. Khazar was kind of like Tarzan of the Savage Land. Okay, just a few more here to cover. Okay. A New Mutant Marvel graphic novel number 4, first print. This is the first appearance of the New Mutants. There is a movie coming out. I managed to get this for a pretty good price. It is, however, slightly beat up. Monster World number 9. I love those Warren magazines. This is Addams Family cover. Nothing super significant about it. And then, last but not least, Monster World number 2. This is actually the first appearance of the Munsters on a cover of a magazine. So I am actually hoping to get that signed by Butch Patrick one day, because he does frequent Pittsburgh. Alright, cut those knocked out of the way. Now I'm going to get into my graded stash. Got a Miracle Man 21 and a 9.4. It's actually a beautiful book, and it is for sale, ironically. Sandman number 1. Got this one at an 8.5. I would eventually like to upgrade it, but this is the first appearance of the Sandman. Some of Neil Gaiman's best work. Saga of the Swamp Thing 37. Alan Moore. First appearance of John Constantine. This is a 7. This was a gift from my wife. This was a hot book at the time that she bought it, I believed. Would eventually like to upgrade it, but we'll see. Okay. Fantastic Four Number 50. That's the solo cover of Silver Surfer, first appearance of Wyatt Wingfoot, Jack Kirby art. This is a 5.5. I didn't pay a whole lot of money for this one, but I actually underpaid for it, and that's something I can actually live with. Okay. Crisis on Infinite Earths number 7, The Death of Supergirl. This is the CGC Signature Series. Bought this book on eBay a long time ago. Met George Perez at the Pittsburgh Comic-Con 2014, and he did sign it. I sent it away, and it came back at a 9.6. I did have number 1, but I actually sold it because I don't really care about that one. This one here I like the most because if you look at the background, it actually, George Perez had said in interviews that this is all of the DC universe at the time, minus Hal Jordan as Green Lantern. And on top of that, this is the Canadian newsstand variant. Okay. Sticking with Perez, this is Infinity Gauntlet number 1. I bought this book off the newsstand, and signed by Perez. Did come back as an 8.5. I was a little disappointed in that one, but I do have a couple of unslabbed copies of this one that are probably a 9.6 easily. Okay. Last two. So, Amazing Spider-Man number 129 out of 4.0 from PGX. I don't know if this is a 4.0. I'm leery on PGX. This book here was in great shape, and I paid close to market value for it. Guide and market for this book are way off. The gap is huge. I don't really think this book is a 4.0, and I'll tell you why. The only visible flaw I can see is that it's missing a chunk from the top. That's something I can kind of live with. As you can see, these corners are really sharp. The spine is really sharp. That corner down there has got a little bit of issue. And the back, the back's a little off-white. But otherwise, from that big chunk in the middle, this is actually a really beautiful copy. I'm tempted to break it out of here and see if I can get it regraded or reevaluated by a group that's not PGX. And my last but not least, one of my favorites. I'm even going to take it out of the plastic for you. This is the Tick Special Edition number 1. This is a 9.4. This is the first comic appearance of the Tick. And I didn't meet Ben Inland, but I did buy this on eBay. This was signed, and it actually has a sketch of the Tick's head on the cover. As you can see, this was witnessed. This was done at San Diego Comic-Con, I believe. And it is number 1700 out of 5,000. So I'm pretty happy with that. Alright folks, thanks for watching.